I thought the reading of the text for Hezekiah had something to do with me, but as God often does, these are the set texts for the day, this week, and has to do with healing on all three readings, including the Psalms. And I shall not be doing well if I don't share with you my testimony of healing. Your Grace, our primates, publicly I want to thank you and your wife. Because unknown to him, I had called my children both abroad and at home, and I had made up my mind I was going to be with the Lord. 65 years was good enough. My coffin was ready. It still is, by the way. My service and order of service was also ready. I had a letter which I had written to the primate when I died. They should give it to him, to plead with him to allow me to be buried 5 days after my transition. Only one man knows where that coffin is. Up till today, it's still there. And only 2 people know about the program because it needs to be in a computer. And suddenly, George called me and said, Baba, we are on our way to Jos. I said, to do what? He said, the primate is coming. And the primate came. We talked like old friends that we were. And he insisted and pleaded with me and prayed to God and covenanted me with God. So it became difficult for me not to accept to go for treatment. I had told everybody, any treatment I cannot get in Nigeria, please let me go home. Give all the money to Gloria. She wants to save 1,000 children in 1 year. So give it to her. Let me go home. So we finally agreed after primate came. 5 days down the road, all excuses were thrown off. I had my one-day synod, my chancellor, and everybody was mad at me, and they ferried me literally to US to a friend of mine, Quig, Lawrence, and Annette. Quig himself is as crazy as I am. He was going in for a hip surgery a week after my own surgery, but didn't care. He had us come to his house where we stayed for 8.5 months, and they nursed me. The coordinating surgeon, fantastic Christian, they prayed and they asked the Lord to give me life, and we're so sure that in 8 weeks' time I should be back in Nigeria. But when they opened me up, they found out what they never expected. Not only was my colon at stage 4 of cancer, my liver as well. So I ended up 6 hours on the operating table. And when I came out, my surgeon was in tears. He said, Ben, we don't know what to do with this because having gone through your liver, we're not so sure anymore. Church of Nigeria, I want to thank you. It's your fault that I'm alive. A friend of mine in America went home to Nanka. I had preached there many times when Baba Onyemelukwe was bishop, because he believed I was his only Ifak preacher. So he would take me everywhere, and I went Abacha, Abetete. And a friend of mine went home for Christmas in December. So when he came back in the US, he tried to locate where I was. And he said to me, he's coming to see me. I said, why? He said it was in his village in Nanka. He heard his mother and the pastor locally were praying that death should not take Archbishop Kwashi. I said, you mean my prayers went as far as villages? But that is how much all of you prayed. So any trouble I make now, be ready for it. You should have allowed me to go home, because quite frankly, I was so grateful to God for my life and ministry, and I was ready to go home. But the Lord has a totally different calendar. The Lord has brought me back alive.